students, how are you doing today? We're gonna be learning something about English again. Today we'll be doing some grammar and specifically passive and active voice, as well as personal and impersonal structures of the passive form. In order to do that, I will show you a clip from the Avengers movie of 2018, Infinity War. How many of you have watched that movie? Raise your hands! We'll be using examples from that video clip to illustrate some of the grammatical points that we will be discussing later on. Let's take a look.
What you do? This is no place to die. No, 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 no. Groot. Oh, man.
Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
How many of you remember the ending of that movie? For me, it was really heartbreaking and I really didn't like to see my favorite heroes lose. Anyway, we all know what happens in the end. They win. So let's focus back on the grammar. So how do we talk about this? Do we say Thanos defeated the Avengers? Or do we say the Avengers were defeated by Thanos? Or do we say it is said that Thanos defeated the Avengers? Or do we go Thanos was said to have defeated the Avengers? Which one is it? We'll break this lesson down to two parts. The first part will be talking about the difference between number one and number two. And the second part of the lesson will be talking about the difference between number 3 and number 4 up on my head, above my, this way. Number 1 and number 2 are examples of active and passive voice. So how do you choose? Which one do you use? Active and passive, which one's correct? Both are correct. How you choose depends on what is your focus. What are you focusing on in that sentence, in that paragraph, in that essay? What are you writing about? Are you focusing your essay on the Avengers, or are you focusing your essay on the on Thanos? So let's say you are focusing your essay on the Avengers. For example, the Avengers are super cool. They fight for our planet Earth. They always find a way to win. However, blank, because they failed to protect the Infinity Stones, it was a sad day for everyone on Earth. So for that blank, which one do you think is better? A, the Avengers were defeated by Thanos, or B, Thanos defeated the Avengers? What do you think? This whole paragraph, the focus is on the Avengers. So we should have the Avengers at the beginning of the sentence because the focus is on them. So in this example, you should choose A. Let's switch it around a bit. What if our focus is on Thanos? Thanos was the greatest enemy of the Avengers. He was an expert tactician with an intergalactic army. He wanted to fix the universe with the power of the Infinity Stones, but the Avengers tried to stop him. There was a struggle, but eventually blank. He finally achieved his goals. So for that blank, which one is the best? Is it A, the Avengers were defeated by Thanos? Or is it B, Thanos defeated the Avengers? So obviously you choose the one with the focus in front. So for this kind of paragraph, you should choose B. So between active or passive voice, choose the one that aligns with your focus. Now that we know how to decide which one to use, how do we write in passive voice? We all know how to do active voice. Passive voice is a little bit tricky, but remember these two things. The verb of the passive voice has a to be in front and a past participle at the back. And if the doer is important, you can mention the doer with a by at the end. Next, I'll be showing you some short clips, and we'll be using those short clips to make grammatical sentences later on. In this scene, Thanos activated the Infinity Gauntlet by snapping his fingers. So this is an active voice sentence. How do we change this into passive voice? Very easy. Don't worry, teacher teach you. First, you identify the subject and the object. So we know that Thanos is the subject and the object is the Infinity Gauntlet. So we put the object in front. Here, for the verb, we add a to be. Now this is past tense. So we use was. Past tense for to be is was. Activate. Past participle of activate is activated. So we keep this. And Thanos, okay, let's say this person is important. We want to mention him. So we add him to the byline over here. Just like in this example. The Infinity Gauntlet was activated by Thanos snapping his fingers. Next.
What did you do?
Let's say you don't know who this guy is. The man asked Thanos, "What did you do?" How do we change this into passive voice? I teach you. We know that the man is the subject, but you don't know who it is, so it's probably not important. You don't need to mention the man. The object is Thanos, so the object goes to the front. We added to be verb in front. Ed asked is past tense, so the to be must also be in past tense. Thanos was. The past participle for ask is still asked, so we keep it like that. We don't have to change whatever comes after the object. Thanos was asked, "What did you do?" Let's look at another example. Thanos had given Thor no chance to kill him. Who is the subject? It's Thanos. There's a specific name over there, so let's treat this as important. The object is Thor, so let's move Thor to the front. And let's look at the verb. Oh, what is that? There is a had here. How do we... Oh my gosh. Oh my god. It's actually much more easier if there is a had or have, because all you have to do is just add a been. So senang ah. So senang. So this is the subject. Let's put a by here. We put the byline at the end of this sentence. Boom, here. And for this sentence, there's actually something advanced that you can do. You want to know? Okay, I'll teach you. You see the him here? Him refers to whom? Refers to Thanos, right? So let's say we replace him with Thanos. So we are already mentioning this guy here. Then we don't need this one. We can just replace this here. Thor had been given no chance to kill Thanos. Sounds better, right? Than the previous one. Thor had been given no chance by Thanos to kill him. This one is much more cleaner, shorter, and sweeter.
This is no place to die.
T'Challa must help Okoye. How do you change this to passive? The subject, T'Challa, the object is Okoye. So you move the object to the front, like so. And whoa, what's this? This is a must. How do I do this? Teacher teach you lah. It's very simple. You just add the to be here in front of the verb. This is a modal, so you know that the verb that follows the modal must be naked, right? Not having anything added to it. So it's a be, and then the help, change it into past participle. So the past participle is helped with an ed. We put a by in front of T'Challa and we move that to the end. Okoye must be helped by T'Challa. And for this situation, we can make another sentence. T'Challa is supposed to help Okoye. How do we change this into passive? This is the subject. This is the object. Move the object to the front. Over here is supposed to. We leave it like that. We add a to be in front of the verb. So to be comes after a to. So you know that any verb that comes after a to infinitive needs to be naked, nothing added to it. Be, help, change this into past participle, helped, and then we add a by to T'Challa and we put it at the end. Okoye is supposed to be helped by T'Challa. Nice, right? And easy. The Avengers will save the day. This one has a will. Same thing. The Avengers is the subject, the day is the object. So we move the day to the front. Boom, like that. This is the verb. We added to be in front, and to be comes after a will, which is a modal. A verb that comes after the modal needs to be naked. So be. Save, change to past participle, which is saved, and add a by to the Avengers and move it to the end. The day will be saved by the Avengers. We can make another sentence with this. Someone needs to defeat Thanos. So now the subject is someone. You don't know who it is. Since this is not specific, it's probably not important. As long as someone does it, we're happy enough. It doesn't matter who it is. So we probably don't need to mention this. Thanos. This is the object. We move the object to the front. Put it here. Needs to defeat. So let's put a to be verb in front of defeat. And oh, there's a to here. And we all know that the verb that follows a to infinitive will have to be naked. Be. Defeat, past participle, ed. Thanos needs to be defeated. So now we know how to do active and passive, and how can we change active voice of various types into passive voice. Now let's dive deep into passive voice, and let's look specifically at how we do impersonal and personal structures in the passive form. Let's take a look. Impersonal and personal structures, they are used with words like this: believe, consider, know, expect, say, report, suppose, and think. And sometimes the people who do these things are not important, or they're random people, so we don't have to mention them, which is why we have these kinds of passive structures. So these two structures mean the same thing, but they're built differently. Impersonal is easier. You just added it and the passive verb, added that, and then you add the clause. For personal, you have the noun, you add a passive verb, and then you add the full infinitive. All right, so this is all very technical. You will understand when I show you the examples. People say that Thanos is in Malaysia. Who are these people? This is random people. So is it important? Do you have to mention this in your sentence? You probably do not. Okay, so let's build an impersonal one first, because impersonal is the easiest. For impersonal, you put it, and for this verb here, you add a to be in front. This is present tense. To be present tense is. Say, change to past participle. So said. It is said that Thanos is in Malaysia. Now, if you want to be more canggih, you can try the personal structure, and this is how you do it. Let me erase my previous markings. For this one, you have to recognize who is the subject in the clause, and in this situation, it's Thanos, and you move him to the front. Boom. And then this verb here, add the to be in front. So Thanos singular, present tense, is. This changed to past participle, said. Know that is. You change it to infinitive, to be. Thanos is said to be in Malaysia. Let's try with another example. People suppose that Prince T'Challa is snobbish, but he isn't. How do you change this active form into passive? Because people. Who are people? It's not mentioned, it's not specific, so you don't really have to use it. First, let's do impersonal. Impersonal, you put an it in front. You change the supposed to the passive form, present tense, so it is supposed past participle plus a d at the back. And there you go. It is supposed that Prince T'Challa is snobbish, but he isn't. He really isn't. He's such a sweet little guy. What about personal? Personal is a little bit more challenging, but you can do it. I believe in you, but I'll do it first. All right, so identify the subject in the clause. The subject is Prince T'Challa. You can identify it by looking at that and what comes after that and is before the verb is. Prince T'Challa, move him to the front. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. And then change the verb to the passive form. So to be, Prince T'Challa is singular, present tense is suppose past participle plus d at the back. Know that. Replace it with a to, and is following a infinitive to becomes naked. It's be. Prince T'Challa is supposed to be snobbish, but he isn't. Let's try one last example. People expect that Rogers gives up. Don't give up. Who are these people? Not important. Don't have to mention them. And let's change this sentence into the passive but impersonal structure. Put it, and you change the expect into the passive form to be singular present. It is expect, change the past participle ed. Expected. It is expected that Rogers gives up. Now let's try the personal. Identify this subject in the clause, which is Rogers. Move this dude to the front. There you go. Change the verb here into the passive form. So add a to be in front. Rogers is singular. Present tense. So is. Expect, change the past participle. Replace the that with a to. Gives in front of a to infinitive. Must become naked. Is this gives naked? No, it's wearing an S. So let's remove that S and make it naked. Rogers is expected to give up. Get it? Can you do it yourself now? All right. So these are the 4 sentences that we learned to do today. Thanos defeated the Avengers. We know that this is the active voice. The Avengers were defeated by Thanos. We know that this is the passive voice. And we also have this kind of structures. Like number 3, it is said that Thanos defeated the Avengers. That's impersonal structure in the passive voice. And number 4, Thanos was said to have defeated the Avengers. And that is personal structure in the passive form. So when do you use them? Which one do you use? It depends on these 3 things. Your focus. What are you writing about in that paragraph? It can be active, it can be passive. Both are equally acceptable. If the doer is important, you gotta mention it. For example, like this one, using the byline. If your doer is not important or unknown, you don't need to mention him or her or it or whatever it is. Especially for number 3 and number 4, the people who say things, who are they? We don't know. Don't have to mention them. Don't give them credit. So you can use the impersonal or personal form when the people who say things or expect things or suppose things or think things are not important. They're random, and you can focus very much on what is important, the content. Good. I guess you're able to work on the Google form exercises right now. Moving on. What music video is the most viewed on YouTube? Do you know? Unfortunately for you ARMY out there, it's not BTS. Oh, Suga. Sorry, Suga. I still love you though. You want to find out the answer to this question? Come back next week in my next lesson.